Listen to what I am saying unto you.
It's the one Thursday a year when the real magic happens.
Very happy!
A festival of all-new comedy with Community, Parks and Rec, and a heartwarming tale on The Office.
My cat killed a turtle dove.
While on 30 Rock, Julianne Moore will touch our hearts. Yay! Not to mention...
Your hair, it's like a shag carpet. I want to sit on it and play a board game.
So there you have it. Brand new comedy, Thursday on NBC.
A very naughty girl I see.
Sitcom, are ye faithful? A Christmas podcast special where again I discuss 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen every day until Christmas. I'm sure we'll feature Balky, Gilligan, and Young Webster, Rose Nyland, Eric Foreman, and definitely Mork. We'll definitely talk about Mork.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to Sitcom, Are Ye Faithful? It's a little weirder when you're singing, when you have someone on camera with you, because today, talking The Office with me is my Fine Movies, Fine Spirits co-host, someone I've known since I was 3 years old, Mr. Christopher Morris, a geek mentality regular, really, coming in just about a couple times every year. How are you doing this evening? I was going to ask you what you're drinking, but that's the other show. But what are you drinking?
I'm doing well, Michael, and I was going to say I'm drinking what I was drinking, and then I was going to point out that it was a different show. I'm drinking an IPA, Seven Hills IPA, which I'm
drinking a Canada Dry Zero Sugar Ginger Ale. But what's more important is what you're wearing. You got the Dunder Mifflin shirt on. Last year, Chris, you joined. You were going to join me for Cheers, but you ended up joining me for Mary Tyler Moore, right?
That's right.
That is correct.
Did I do Cheers also?
Maybe we did Cheers too. I know I had a sick dog. She wasn't, she.
Upset
stomach. We had to move things around. But
it was great. It was great. I loved the Mary Tyler Moore and
that was fun.
Cheers. And it sounds like this. I was surprised you do in The Office because hearing some of a couple clips and a couple episodes, I didn't know you were doing funny sitcoms this year.
Come on. Now, some of these, I'm doing sitcoms that remind me of being a kid, and then I go to other things of things that are just like supposed to be really good shows. Like The Honeymooners. Yesterday I did Maude. I can't believe how much I enjoyed Maude. Like
that show was underrated, I think. Yeah,
I think B. Arthur is underrated in general.
Oh, she's great. She's great. She was in the military too. I read something about her. She was,
So this year was a two B. Arthurs this year, but this is the first show that I've repeated from last year. It's been a good run, 15 episodes. We haven't done a repeat show from last year. That wasn't kind of the plan. It just sort of worked out that way. But today I'm going back to Dunder Mifflin. We're doing season 6, episode 13, Secret Santa. And before we get to the episode, I just want to say that Chris right now is sporting a official Dunder Mifflin t-shirt. And the reason I think we picked The Office, or I don't know if I mentioned it to you or you mentioned it to me, is because this past year has been a big Office year for you. Why don't you tell us what you did with your family?
That is correct. So this shirt is actually about 5 years old, which is
really?
funny. My wife bought me this shirt. So my wife and I, I had been, a casual fan of the show. I didn't see the whole series. I watched, like most people, I watched the show. I thought it was hilarious. My wife and I, didn't watch every episode. We watched here and there. So my kids and I, we had been binging shows, as I told you. We binged Lost and Breaking Bad, all the kids shows. And I don't know how we got into it, but I said, maybe it's not something you usually do is binge a sitcom, but let's you guys want to watch The Office? And
it is great binging a sitcom because you get through so many.
It really is.
Yeah.
They love this. They love the freaking show. Awesome. So it was great. It was great because there was a lot I hadn't seen. A lot of episodes I hadn't seen, a lot of stuff I remembered, and just how funny it was, how many great characters, the dynamic. Michael Scott, one of the best characters probably in TV history.
In this episode,
incredible
he was just amazing in this episode.
We got the full range. We got the full range of Michael, him being so inappropriate and so
immature, being dick,
so dumb. Yeah, immature. He's him not know his use of phrases that he heard once, or and his misuse of other phrases, like Jesus healing leopards.
I wrote down healing leopards. I wrote down and then he quickly said that you slurped me.
You slurped. I didn't catch that until the third viewing. I watched with Grace today. She was homesick, so
good.
We were both.
When Jim said you can't say I need it when you're pulling an employee onto your lap.
When you're pinning an employee onto your lap. It's so great. And then him saying HELL hockey sticks. HELL hockey sticks or whatever he said.
I mean, I know we like when we go through the movies, we go through them in order, but it doesn't, we could do whatever here. The line where he goes, when Angela got the fabric and he says, oh great, you can make another dress that goes past your feet.
Yes, great stuff. And she was his one ally because he was dressed as Jesus. Right. My favorite. It's funny because, like I said, as we've watched the show, we just, the kids are obsessed, and we were doing imitations. And I think it might be my favorite dynamic on the show is his just irrational hatred of Toby.
Oh yeah,
he's just like his nemesis, and
the
when he's wearing the Jesus, he's wearing the Jesus. My kids are, do the imitation. Oh, Michael, you really can't. Do I even have to explain why that's inappropriate here? And he goes, oh yes, the Antichrist. And then he's like, oh, you can. I can't push religion, but you can push drugs.
It's one or the other.
One or the other. You obviously heard that he says, pick your poison. For some reason, that has to apply there. So, yeah, very excited to be doing The Office.
Yes. So this episode, I can't believe it's from 2009 already, 13 years ago.
Crazy.
Written by Mindy Kaling. Kelly Kapoor herself. Yeah. I saw that. I was looking at the credits. And the main gist of the episode is they're having an office, a Secret Santa party and a Christmas party. But this year, Phyllis wants to be Santa, or is going to be Santa. In fact, she asked Jim 11 weeks ago that she wanted to be Santa, and it seemed extremely important to her. She's like, I get to finally be Santa. And everyone, even Dwight, was okay with it.
Dwight had right. Even Dwight was kind of in the festive
you got to
spirit.
Do it this year.
Yes.
So
Dwight was great.
It was fine until, it opened up with the unveiling of the plain Christmas tree. It was a successful unveiling. It was the way Dwight
back to work. Yeah. Back to work.
He starts counting down 30, 29.
Yes.
So good. We see that it's Secret Santa Day, but some people are already getting parts of their gifts. Andy has been giving Erin the 12 days of Christmas, which unfortunately 9 of those days are a bunch of birds. So she's been getting her.
She has a vicious scratch.
Yeah, her cat attacked some of the birds, and she got attacked. And Dwight is getting some strange gift. That was another great line when, even though we find out Michael gave the gift, he goes, "Oh, you got some space trash so you can build yourself a girlfriend."
Oh yeah, great little yeah. The writing was
So yeah,
just
so good. So while they're getting ready for the party, there's a little side story of Oscar being infatuated with the guy in the warehouse.
Yep.
Then Michael comes in as Santa, and of course he's pissed off. He goes into the office. He can't explain, like, it doesn't make sense that a woman would be Santa Claus. You know, if you had, and now he's explaining that having one Santa Claus is bad. Because it's like in Russia, maybe there's one Santa Claus. Thank God Russia doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Michael, peak Michael. And what he called Phyllis, obviously, over there. Hey, if you want to sit on tranny clauses,
that
gold.
timing, just the years. Like, I don't even know that they would not use that joke today. I don't think.
No, they wouldn't. There's a lot of stuff in the office Michael alone, right?
Yep. And he gets Kevin to sit on his lap only because Phyllis wouldn't let Kevin sit on her lap. There are, like, I followed some office bloopers on Instagram. There is a great blooper of what did you think was going to happen when he's like, what? I didn't think of that. What do you want for Christmas? When Kevin sat on his lap. So good.
That was so good. Yes. And but yeah, Michael, I love when Michael just comes out even and he says, look at Pam. He's like, you've been a naughty girl, pointing to her
very naughty
pregnant stomach. And
we got Creed. What if you've been bad? We've been really bad.
Yes, yes. I love the Creed subplot of him just not knowing of anything about him.
I either had an office calendar where it was a quote from The Office every year, or it was a specific Creed Bratton calendar. I forget. But one of my favorite lines ever was when he talked about, like, someone, and he quoted the original Creed Bratton. Like, the inference was that he stole. Creed Bratton's
stole his identity.
Yeah,
I think it sounds that rings
exactly
a bell.
What that line, yeah.
It rings a bell. But when he had blood on it all over his clothes. Do you remember that one? And it was like,
I kind of remember that. Does not explain it, I think, or
yeah, no, he says, just shook it off.
So it doesn't work out with Michael trying to be the second Santa. So he instead turns his coat inside out and instead becomes Jesus. I thought he was going to be Father Time. I thought that makes more sense. But no, he decides to become Jesus. And he had a great line when he was leaving his office. I don't know if you remember him saying, "When you need my help because I'm ruining everything, don't look at me." It was like,
no,
basically like, you made me do this. But he says, if you're looking for help, I ruin everything. So good.
That's
I wrote
great.
that down.
Go on. No, and then you're going through. You're probably going to go through it next when he's. Oh no, he's announcing the gifts after in a little bit.
Well, before he announces the gifts, he comes out and he says, "I'll be Jesus. Jesus forgives, but he never forgets."
Yes, another phrase that doesn't seem to actually get. Angela's excited that he's Jesus. Yes. Is that right?
Angela's the only one excited, and obviously that you mentioned. I'm spacing on his name. Toby. When you mentioned Toby.
Michael. I don't think that's appropriate, Michael.
He's like, "Oh, the Antichrist." That was great. They're talking about the one of the other drugs.
Pick your poison.
We get Andy kind of basically trying to tell Erin that he did give her the gifts, but he's way too embarrassed because she's like, who would be
angry about it?
Yeah, she is angry about it.
This is peak. By the way, this is just having watched the whole series. This is peak Andy. Yeah. Maybe when he was a little earlier, but he's like likable.
Kind of, right. Earlier
he was angrier.
He was angry. He punched a wall.
I remember he had that. Yeah. But this is when he's likable. He's the most likable.
Yeah. Absolutely. And he kind of redeems himself a little bit at the end, but he says, a true gentleman would give up, not me.
Yes.
So Michael is upset. He goes into his office and he ends up calling, I don't remember his name.
David.
Okay. He calls David and to kind of complain that a woman is being Santa Claus.
David
took
Wallace.
care of us. David Wallace. That's right.
Side story, real quick about David Wallace. The reason I remember his name, Aiden just started track, and he said one of my coaches looks like a little bit older David Wallace,
Oh,
right?
Excellent.
So I met him last Saturday, and he introduces himself and shakes my hand, and he says, "I'm David."
Oh, wow.
And I said, Aiden. And Aiden goes, "His name is actually David." So made it easy to remember. So yes, he
That's
calls
awesome.
David from his.
Calls David to complain about. That's when he mentions the that he goes, "Guess who I am? I don't have time
Guess
for
who
this."
I am. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "I'll give you a hint. Last name is
This is-
Christ. I have the power of flight."
Yes, that was great. Grace cracked up on that.
And I
line
rewound it
today.
because I'm like, did he say
then the
leopards?
leopards.
I can hear leopards.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he says you slurped him, taking Santa away. But the big news is that the company has been sold. So that must be leading into Saber taking over, maybe.
Yes. But by the way, I thought David Spade was actually pretty low key great.
I forget Spade was on The Office. I have no recollection of this.
He's a man. He's a manager.
Oh my god, I
He's
need
like
to
the
rewatch
manager.
this.
Weird manager.
When everyone kind of went crazy, oh, The Office is leaving Netflix. Oh my god, this was like the big get for Peacock, and I was like,
Yep.
I don't rewatch streaming shows. Like if sometimes it'd be on Comedy Central if I find Comedy Central and you just kind of
Yep.
stick on it, but I never rewatch it over and over, which
Right.
I feel like I should.
Just-
What
yeah.
were you gonna say?
No. I was going to say even the later ones had sneaky great line. Great out of the blue. You're like, holy crap, this episode's great.
Like
even in season 7.
the James Spader season, that was okay. There were moments.
Yeah.
It's when they brought in, I can't think of his name, but he's in
Didn't I
Silicon
say
Valley.
James Spader?
Did you say James Spader? No, you said
Did I not?
said David Spade. That's why I was confused.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Spader. Okay. Like it's James
David
Spader. Yes,
Spade.
pre
Yes,
Blacklist.
no, not David Spade. I'm old.
That's
for
right.
your
You've had,
listeners,
you
they
just
know.
went to a bourbon tasting, so and it's
I
still
may
there.
I may or may not have sampled 7 bourbons.
Yeah, in walking distance though, so safely.
Yes.
So, but the James Spader season, yeah, there were still some. He was like, he's good. I like him.
That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I thought. He was hilarious.
But I did like when
quirky.
Andy took the job too. It kind of felt more
Yeah.
like The Office again, having an inept boss,
Mhm.
and they brought in the skinny
Will
pale
Ferrell.
guy. Will
Oh,
Ferrell.
Gabe.
He's on Silicon Valley. That guy is hilarious.
Oh, I bet he's great. I was, as a family, we were like, oh, this guy Gabe is, but he was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he's like such a weasel, so like creepy,
And
but
just the
but
way
hilarious.
he talks, and very quiet. The way he quietly talks about things. So
Yeah.
David tells Michael that they've been sold. They're losing their jobs. He said, "We all are." Michael took that as "we all are." He kind of repeated it.
Right.
So this is when he kind of turns to the softy Michael, gets out of the white bearded Jesus costume, and
Yes.
says, "What does he say?" He says, "We needed a Santa, then we needed 2 Santas,
Now we need him, Mike.
then we needed a Jesus, now we need a Michael." Right.
Yeah. Phyllis
Yeah.
can't fit into this costume.
He sends Dwight off to get pizza
Hmm.
with his pin code, which apparently his
Yeah.
pin code's YMCA. I didn't know.
I love how you notice how Dwight was just messing with him there too.
I didn't really pick. That's why I gave that little look.
Yeah,
Ah,
just a
that's good.
like nice little low key. Dwight was wanting him to do the dance.
We see Dwight at one point got another piece. He thought it was a gun. They're like, it doesn't look like a gun. That's not a gun.
And yeah, Stanley with a good line. Unless your next piece includes a gun, because he
Oh, yeah.
says I'm getting pieces.
Well, that's right. We
Stanley,
skipped the
and
part where he was mopey before he called Davis. That's when he's on the karaoke machine
Oh yes,
doing play
and
by
Stanley, right, roasting. He's basically
Yeah,
roasting people.
roasting Stanley because he cheated on his wife.
He said, yeah, "That's candles. That's appropriate where he's going." And
Yeah.
yes, that's
Dwight building
Yeah.
a girlfriend and Angela with a dress past her feet.
yes,
such
just sitting
great
there, and
lines.
then finally Jim turned off the.
See, I forgot Jim got promoted, right? He's got his own office.
Yes, he's like
Yeah.
at that point he's like the
because he's wearing a suit coat. He didn't used to wear a suit
right.
coat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he had the power to
Yeah.
give Phyllis.
At one point, Andy goes in and sees Phyllis and he says, "Can you not tell Erin that I got the gift?" She's like, "I'll just tell her. I'll just tell her it was Michael, honey."
Yeah. And then Michael, while roasting, he's the one who
gives it away, and
you know,
he's like, "It was it was the thought that counts." And that's when she says, "What were you thinking?" And he says, a better gentleman, a gentleman would stop, not me."
right.
So they're in the conference room, and Michael, he talks about, work. The Christmas is not really about gifts; it's about the workplace. And he says how Ryan and Jim are his kids. Angela and Phyllis.
Well, don't forget,
Pam
he
is
says
his wife.
Pam is his wife.
Yeah.
Ryan's his son, and then he just says, and Jim. Yes.
And Jim and Angela and Phyllis are his grandmoms. And what does he say about Stanley?
Stanley's his mailman. You see the look on
and the look on Stanley's face, so good.
And I forget what. Yeah, he couldn't think of something in his family. So I forget what he said. Something so wrong about Jesus. It's the true meaning. It's not about Jesus. And you see, one of the great things, obviously, about The Office is the mostly Jim and
the reaction
looks,
shots. Yeah,
the breaking the third wall.
Yeah.
But when he's in the background when Michael says, it's not about Jesus, he does he tilts his head and makes a face like
is it though?
Like, right, it's not about Jesus. You sure about that?
And
so it's great, yeah. And then he tells them the news, right?
He tells them, it's not fair what they're doing to us. Yeah,
right.
And they freak out. They're like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "We've been sold. We're all losing our jobs. Oh, we're closing." And Jim's like, "Wait, what?" Jim goes right for his phone. He's like, "Wait, we're being sold. That doesn't mean we're closing." Dwight kicks down the tree in rage. Everyone's upset, but they're like, this is when Michael shows his brilliance, because he says, "You got to get David on the phone." And Jim's like, "I can't. He's not answering." He goes, "I'll get him on the phone. I know how to do it." And what does he do?
He knows where his kids go to school.
Knows where his kids goes to school.
Calls them, says he's the pediatrician.
Yep.
Who then connects him with the secretary, and then he does
uses
an
his little
impression
girl
of the daughter.
voice. He goes, "Sweetie, what is it?" It's not Sweetie, it's Michael Scott.
It's not Sweetie. And how enraged David Wallace must be when he gets. Yep.
You weren't supposed to tell them. Well, the cat's out of the bag now. So they realized, he goes, "I just want to let you know, we're losing our jobs. A couple of the executives. You guys are actually the one thing that actually works in this company. So they're not going to lose their job." I forgot, he said the line to I can't remember any of these names. The redheaded lady. Meredith. When he says, "How could Meredith keep her job over David Wallace?" No offense, Meredith. She's like, "No,
she agrees. She agrees. I get it."
But it turns out that everyone is keeping their job except some of the executives. They're like, "Oh, that's too bad," and they just forget about David Wallace. He basically crowd surfs.
They cheer.
Yeah, they cheer. He jumps on.
I didn't notice
he jumps into on top of them, and I wonder if that was just like he just did it. It was one of those things, because this show, you feel like there's a ton of improv.
Definitely.
So next thing we see is them enjoying the party. They pick up the tree. Dwight is singing some Green
karaoke.
Day. Yep.
They're singing some Green Day. Yep.
Andy
Kelly's
gets in
so
there
happy
as well.
at her gift.
Yeah, Kelly loves her Twilight poster.
And Dwight got the rest of his Nutcracker.
Yep, and you just see that. That's where you see the good in Michael. Yep.
Oh, you see his face. He just, as Jim said to him too. Remember, you're the best. But in the last episode of Michael was ever on was when Jim said, "You're the best boss I ever had." Or something. He said, "I would tell you," because that was the thing. Not to get sidetracked, but yes, Michael, great boss. I just loved. Finish because it's still got a great ending.
Yes. So at that point also, we kind of glossed over Oscar, and he has this infatuation with a guy in the office. He goes down, and
he tells him the wrong name. Yep.
Well, he tells him the wrong name, but in the office, he waits for him. He goes down
Yes.
to the warehouse
Oh, yes.
and waits. And he's like,
He wants to give him his check.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's a good-looking guy. Okay, I'll just leave it here. And he runs off. But then Pam introduces him, tries to kind of force them a little bit together to talk. And then at the end, he gives them the wrong name. He says the wrong name, but he did it on purpose, basically.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not interested. And I think that's the end of the party. They all head out together.
Yep. Snowing.
I don't think they're going to Poor Richards. I think they're just
episode.
going home for the night.
Nope, not in this one.
Yep. And then we get the great, Andy said he didn't want to give up. He didn't give up. We get the 12 drummers drumming. I don't know if there were 11 and Andy.
I don't know. Grace, of course, Grace was like, there's only 10. You know, she was pointing out they were wrong. But yeah, it was a great ending. Really just, so I chose this one because you had asked me to choose another episode because you did the Christmas party.
I did the Christmas party, which was another Secret Santa, which was
a classic.
Another classic. Yep, that was the
early one. We watched it today.
Oh,
so great. So my buddy Brian, who I mentioned on the other pod, and I recently were talking, and he's telling me his favorite was the Dwight Christmas, which is Dwight was Belschnickel.
Oh God,
maybe a future episode, But I went and watched it, and I was like, it is great. And then I'm like, let me watch some of these other ones. And this one, Secret Santa, is just a perfect Christmas sitcom. You know, like it's got just the great. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, like all the best parts of The Office. It has like a great, you know, the fact that they all keep their jobs, so it's a great like
so it's like a happy
plot
ending.
like that. And then also it was all Christmas. You know what I mean? Like it was all the Christmas party, all Christmas related, and then
all one day, I think, right?
Christmas ending. Yes. So
except for the flashbacks of all the time Erin had to deal with like geese in the car and stuff like that.
Yep. So it was, I was excited to do this one.
Great choice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for thank you for joining me on this 16th day of December. Is there any plugs you wanna possibly give up? Maybe a different podcast or something?
You should try if you haven't. If you want to subscribe to something different, you know, a movie pod, Fine Movies, Fine Spirits.
Fine Movies. Fine Spirits available right at fansnotexperts.com/fine movies, wherever podcasts are available. I don't want to steal your plug, but it's my plug. It's our plug together.
Perfect. No, absolutely.
All right. Anything else? Any parting words?
That's it. Great job. I expect to see maybe some of my favorite sitcoms down the stretch. Actually, you know what? I have to go back and listen to Honeymooner.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was.
Was it a good one?
Yeah,
that was a family favorite. And your Mod one, you said.
Oh, yeah. It was a shorter episode, but like because not a ton happened, but the stuff that just was in it was great. Like it just kind of streamlined. There wasn't like this, then this, then this. It was just get to the party, and there was
like a 15-minute show, 13 minutes worth of.
Yeah, so that's why I look up. You know, try to find a long promo clip that I throw at the beginning or something.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Good stuff,
awesome.
Buddy.
Thank you. Well, just to close up shop here, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts, and the website is fansnotexperts.com. My dog is on my lap now. She's about to fall off, so I'm going to close up shop here for the night. Thanks again to Christopher Morris for joining me, and until tomorrow, my friends, here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.
Boom.